안녕하세요. 매일매일 운동하기를 실천하고 있는 동탄 왕코입니다. 오늘 카메라가 좀 휘었네요. 이 삼각대를 다시 사야겠어요. 이 삼각대를 제가 한 3년 전에, 4년 전에 산 건데 썩어가네요, 썩어가. 그래도 카메라가 왜 이렇게 휜 것 같아요. 제가 휘겠습니다. 자, 오늘 어제 얘기했죠. 오늘은 여기서 30분 꽉꽉 채워 운동을 하기로 했는데 피곤해요. 졸려요. 지금 되게 졸린 상태입니다. 하지만 최대한 운동을 해볼게요. 일단 목표는 팔굽혀펴기 20개씩 4세트. 윗몸 일으키기라고 하는 게 아니고 그 레그레이즈랑 이거 깐짝깐짝 되는 걸 뭐라고 하는지 잘 이름 모르겠는데, 어쨌든 그 복근 운동도 20개씩 4세트. 그 다음에 이거 뭐라 그러죠? 아령. 두 손 아령을 10개씩 4세트를 하도록 하겠습니다. 3종 세트. 팔굽혀펴기는 이 푸시업 바를 이용할 거고요. 해야지. 오늘 근데 스트레칭을 너무 안 해가지고 아이고, 역시 운동할 땐 CNN이죠. 요즘에 이란이랑 미국이랑 전쟁에서 CNN이 아주 핫해요, 핫해.
What I would like to say is, this is not a common case where you say, oh, Mr. Gone, you know what? You know, he didn't, and the media, sometimes they say he didn't pay taxes. No, there are no taxes involved. You know, he hidden compensation. When I tell people I didn't receive any compensation, they're surprised. But the whole story has been put in a way to lead people to think something which is different from the reality. Okay? And I must admit, they are very good at it. This is probably the only way. This is the only thing in which they're good. Because on everything else, which is the raison sociale of a car maker, is to make good cars, sell a lot of them, develop the technology, see the car of the future, make a profit, make cash, pay a good dividend, and increase the shareholder. Yeah, they said, we want to turn the Gone page.
일단 팔굽혀펴기 20개 하고
They turned the Gone page.
스트레칭을 다시 할게요.
They turned the Gone page because there is no more growth. There is no more increase of profit.
오늘 치킨을 먹었더니
strategic initiatives. There is
졸리긴
no more
졸린데
technology,
든든하네요.
and there is no more alliance. What we see today is a masquerade of an alliance that obviously, with all the people who are involved, is not going to go anywhere. So that's why I'm telling you, this is political. This is political. There is a lot of tentative to present it as a, common case of somebie who has crossed boundaries. No, there is no crossing of boundaries. I am innocent of all the charges, all of them. And I can prove it now because I start to have a lot of documents, and there are many more documents to come. And that's what I wanted to say today. I left Japan because I wanted justice. That's why I left Japan. I didn't run from justice. I want justice because justice is the only way I'm going to establish my reputation, and the only way what I've done during my life is going to be recognized to its value. And if I don't get it in Japan, I'm going to get it somewhere else. Thank you for your attention. And now let me before we make the break.
former Japanese cake. 일본이 뭘
I was painted in the media in Japan called greedy dictator. That's it. Everything is called greedy dictator. Called saying he doesn't like Japan. He doesn't like Japanese. He's a kind of mercenary here for the money. It's wrong. I like Japan. I like the people in Japan. I can tell you that for the many months where I was on bail, I was walking everywhere in Tokyo alone. I had no bodyguard. I went to restaurants, I went to movies, and people were greeting me. They were telling me, Gambate kudasai, Gonsan. They were saying, we're sorry about happening to you. We hope you continue to love Japan. This is the people on the street. Because the people on the street do not think 1 second that after celebrating this guy Jin for 17 years, all of a sudden he became a villain. They don't understand it. They don't believe it. They don't even understand the accusation. So, and when they say I don't love Japan, let's make some history, a little bit of history. I revived Nissan. I went back, we crossed the financial crisis together. When the tsunami hit Japan, I was the first foreigner to come back to Japan. If you remember, I was the first one. Because it happened that I was in France on the executive committee. I was the first foreigner to come back in Japan when everybody was leaving Japan. And I was the first one to dare going to Iwaki plant, which was near Fukushima. Because in Fukushima, if you remember, you had the nuclear leaks. And nobody dared to go to Iwaki because of the nuclear leaks. I had to go by myself and call the suppliers and call the employees to say, we're going to rebuild the plant together. I have my kids in Japan, educated in Japan. I lived in Japan. I refused to abandon Nissan only because I cared about the country and they cared about the company. So I'm asking one question. I'm not cold toward Japan. I love Japan. Why Japan is paying me with evil for the good I think I've done to the country? I don't understand that. I profoundly don't understand that. Because I know Japanese people are not like this. The second thing is they're greedy. They say, I'm greedy. I'm greedy. In 2009, Steve Ratner, who was Obama car czar, General Motors was down, Chrysler was down, he came to me and said, I talked to the president, we want you to become the CEO of General Motors. He has written this in his book, so I'm not telling you stories. You can look at the book. And he was offering me a pay which was double my pay. I said, you know what? I understand your offer is very attractive, but the captain of a ship doesn't leave the ship when the ship is in difficulty. This is not a greedy guy talking. A greedy guy would say, sorry guys, this is business. I'm going to go for my own interests. And frankly, I made a mistake. I recognize it today. I should have offered. I should have accepted the offer. But I had my beliefs, and I offered, and I followed my beliefs. Then, so this is about greedy. The third thing is about dictator. Well, they discovered I'm a dictator in 2018. For 2007, for 17 years, I'm the CEO of the company. I have 20 books. You have so many professors coming. I have so many cases in Harvard, Stanford, INSEAD, HEC, Waseda, Keio, all of them coming, all the professors analyzing this. Nobody discovered I was a dictator. All these people who have made the analysis have made all the cases. Nobody had a doubt that I was a dictator. This whole thing, which was very elegantly fabricated, imposed on the Japanese public. But you know what? The public did not react in function of what they said. Because I told you, I didn't have a bodyguard. I walked in Japan all the time. By myself or one of my kids. We have never been anybody. We have always been received very well in all the restaurants and the places that we have visited. But they tarnished my reputation in many other countries where the fact that you have power or you're supposed to have money, you're already guilty. Well, it was not the same treatment, as you know. We're going to stop here and make a small break. I can continue, but maybe.
We're just going to do a break for those who want audio translations. We're going to provide some audio translation. So please ask for it because Mr. Gunn will be answering questions asked in Arabic.
A bombastic performance from Carlos Ghosn there. He's appearing in Lebanon after that very daring escape. He's not giving us any details about that, but it's all about clearing his name and saying what Japan accused him of is completely untrue. Financial misconduct charges. He completely denies them, and he takes us through a very clear process and describes the timeline to prove, in his words, that he's completely innocent of all of these charges. In fact,
이란이 지금 두바이 공격한다 그랬다는데? 지금 영어를 완벽히 아는 게 아닌데 지금
He even describes being held hostage in Japan, which is why ultimately he had to escape. And the key allegation he's making here, Anna's with me because she's followed this process throughout.
과연 이란이 미국의 본토를 타격할 수 있을까요? 주변국을 타격해서 미국을 압박하겠죠?
If he agreed that the allegations against him were true, which is a massive allegation against the Japanese system.
Which he calls a hostage system. He says the Japanese prosecutor told him he had to confess to these allegations, which of course he denied again and again today. He also said that they threatened to, quote, go after his family if he didn't. So serious allegations about Japan's system, pointing to the 99.4% conviction rate that's widely discussed, of course. And of course, then he goes into his bail conditions and the conditions he was held in jail, saying he had no windows, saying he wasn't allowed outside for days at a time on occasion.
So that's the allegation that his human rights were compromised. Therefore, he was held hostage. Therefore, he wasn't facing justice, and he wasn't escaping justice. He was escaping injustice, in his words.
And he said, crucially, near the end of this press conference, that he's not escaping justice, as you said, but also he wants to actually clear his name. He wants to go to court. He wants to see these allegations in court. He wants to see trial. But he feared, and there was an incredible moment in there, that he would either die in Japan or he had to get out. He didn't think he was ever going to see trial. The date kept being pushed back.
He's currently taking questions, so we'll see what the journalists have to say. But he pretty much covered it, didn't he? I mean, obviously, we all want to know the details of how he escaped, but he's not giving us that, and that's pretty clear.
He's not giving us that. That is the question that everyone wants the answer to. How do you get out of Japan when you're under bail conditions and it's so strict? Hollywood, I'm sure, is waiting for those answers too, but it would incriminate him and other people. And frankly, he's got enough legal issues to face right now.
제가 방금 누워서 이렇게 깔짝대는 거 했잖아요. 이거를 10개밖에 안 했거든요. 그 이유가 여기가 땡겨요. 스트레칭 안 해서 그런가? 일단은 요거 10개 들고 나서 여기 스트레칭 한 번만 할게요.
He said nothing about it was you can hear it's sort of organized chaos at the moment. He basically went through an hour 10 minutes defense of what he did at Renault Nissan Mitsubishi. It was a full-throated attack against the Japanese political and prosecutorial system. He said he was told again and again, just confess or we will go after you and your family. He said, do I fight or do I just go along with it? He was told, he said he had a feeling of hopelessness that was profound. And then he said, I realized I would die in Japan or I had to get out. To the accusation that he was a cold, greedy dictator, he just went through the evidence bit by bit, slowly but surely, animated at times, constantly reminding everybody that all his actions had been approved and there was documentary evidence. Whether or not you choose to believe that Carlos Ghosn somehow manufactured a state of affairs that enabled all this happen, the jury is well out on that. He still says he wants to clear his name, but in the question and answer, we hope we'll hear more about how he hopes to do that. A trial in Lebanon, we've heard nothing about what he's going to do in Lebanon. This has been a full frontal attack on Japan's legal and prosecutorial system.
You've met him, interviewed him many times. His body language was extraordinary. The way he was speaking, obviously very animated. We're seeing images of when he was speaking just a few moments ago. As you say, there's going to be a Q&A in a moment. But what's happening in the room right now?
Let me describe. You can probably see the room right now. So the room right now, there are about, I would say, 150, maybe 200 journalists with a very sizable contingent from Japan. The people, if you're looking and you can see the picture at the front, they are crowded around Carol Ghosn, his wife. There is an element of organized chaos about this. To be honest, this thing started 10 minutes before it was supposed to, so they had to actually wait. It's run according to plan. Now it looks as if Max now it looks as if they are about to start the question and answer. He said he will answer questions in English, French, or Arabic. However the question is put, in whatever language, he will answer it in that.
I just want to ask you a quick question, Anna, because he spent a lot of time speaking to the Japanese media and the way he was portrayed in the Japanese media and his passion for Japan. You were in Japan.
허리가 아프니까 윗몸 일으키기는 안 하겠습니다.
Because it's really important to remember
지금
how
딱 두
Carlos
세트
Ghosn
했거든요.
was viewed before his arrest.
물만
He's
먹고
been
올게요.
arrested for, well, it was over 400 days ago. Before then, he was a hero. There were comic books written about him. There were votes in Japan where women said he was the man they would most like to marry out of a variety. And ever since then, he has, he says, been labelled as a greedy man, as this despot at the top of a car firm who doesn't like Japan and just wants to take all the money out of it. And he made an impassioned plea for the Japanese to remember how much he loves the country and says that how much he likes spending time there.
Richard, in terms of the question you want to ask, I mean, he spoke for a huge amount of time, obviously, and he went through a lot of detail. But what's the outstanding question for you away from how he escaped, which he's clearly not going to go into?
Hello, sorry, Max, were you talking to me?
Yeah, what's the key question that you want to ask after that presentation away from how he escaped, which is clearly not going to answer?
What do you do next? You've effectively substituted a very small Japanese prison for a country that's a prison because you can't go anywhere except maybe to France, maybe because they won't extradite you. But essentially, what are you going to do now? You are, in the eyes of every legal authority in the world, you are a fugitive from justice, however much you might self-declare it. And now the question and answer is starting, as you can hear. Carlos Ghosn is got the microphone. He is very much in control here. There's a strong element of, look at it, you can see the picture coming from the cameraman. There's Carlos Ghosn. He's now conducting his own press conference. He's come from behind the podium. He's now in the well of the press conference. And he's going to do this where he's going to ask anything and be here as long as he likes. I'll let you listen to the press conference.
Yeah, we are. Well, we can see it, and I'm just going to check if we've got the sound. Let's see what we can hear.
We are in Lebanon. We are in Lebanon. First question, Lebanon. No, he wrote it down. Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Hassan. John Akhul, MTV.
You can choose the language you want.
Okay, so it's pretty chaotic there. It looked pretty organised for a while. But this is interesting. You've met him several times.
Yeah, and
I've
also
met him.
the press conferences we usually go to, of course, were hosted by Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi, by this big alliance. They were so
Layers of people you used to have to go through. But this is someone that's, as Richard says, has grabbed the microphone, is taking control, he's run his own press conference.
But can I just say, that press conference right from the beginning was so organised. He had his points. He had an overhead projector. He wanted to show us not only the charges against him, of which there are 4, there's the under-reporting of his payment, and then there's also the funneling of Nissan money, the allegation that he funneled money from Nissan to a car dealership under his control. He brought out evidence. He wanted to show people numbers to try and prove his innocence.
Let's listen in. Let's see if we've got the sound.
There's a second question about, is this going to benefit any Lebanese economical interest? Do you think that your defense about yourself in Lebanon is going to serve you? I'm going to speak in Arabic if you ask a question. هناك a lot of stories ولكن لازم accurate. And I am not going to speak about how I fled from Iran, Japan, because I'm going to be expose people who helped me to problem and complications. And I'm going to respect the deal. And I'm not going. I would like to defend about the people who helped me. one day you are going to see the fact. The fact will be prevalent. You will know exactly what had happened. And maybe one day after 20 years, I'm not going to speak about how I flee.
Oh. Oh.
A chaotic moment in the Carlos Ghosn press conference. It was pretty organised for a while there in Lebanon, but it was a fiery performance, a bombastic performance, and now he's basically taken the reins and he's taking questions, a variety of nationalities represented by the press there, and he's answering in the language that he is presented the questions in. He's basically saying all the allegations laid against him are untrue from Japan. He had no choice but to escape because it wasn't a fair system. It was an injustice. He's now out to clear his name. We're going to get more detail, though, because Richard Quest is interviewing Carlos Ghosn in the next hour. We'll bring that to you as soon as possible. By the looks of things, it's going to be delayed from 3 p.m., but we'll wait to see what happens with that. One final thought from you, Anna, on the headline that came out of that, because you're expecting a lot of this.
That he is pointing the finger at Nissan and at the Japanese government. He's named some names. He has said that he has been threatened by Japan's justice system, the hostage system, and that he wants to clear his name, whether that's, well, obviously not in Japan, but he hopes to clear his name perhaps in Lebanon.
Okay, thank you for watching, and we will monitor the question and answer session to see if there's anything new that comes out of that. But for now, we're going to return to our special coverage of Iran.
진짜 턱걸이랑 팔굽혀펴기랑 완전 다른 운동이에요.
And Jim, who are speaking to Nick Robertson.
같은 상체가 아닙니다.
Plenty of other places
자극이 완전 달라요.
based in Iraq where the Iranians could have had a much greater probability of hitting the soldiers.
그리고 팔굽혀펴기 맨 처음에 할 때 여기 먼저 알배기는 사람이 있거든요. 그러니까 제가 예전 들었는데 자기가 가장 약한 부분이 먼저 자극된다고 하더라고요. 그래서 원래 처음 할 때 여기 막 알배기고 막 장난 아니었거든요. 지금 하니까 이 어깨 쪽에서도 앞어깨 있죠. 앞에 어깨. 여기가 또 자극이 엄청 되네요.
So you have a warning going out, Andrew, to the Iraqis from Iran, but they know, as Nick would noted, that would be passed on to the Americans. Intentionally, it seems, missing where the Americans are there. It's our reporting that the Pentagon view of this is that Iran intended that to make a shot across the bow, as it were. Is that an accurate read from what you can tell?
We don't know.
Right.
And I think the interesting point here is whether or not it would make sense for us to work on the assumption that it was an intentional gesture,
23분이네요.
not intended to be lethal. And there's a historical analogy here.
요거 물 다 마시고
October 1962.
20개 더 할게요.
Kennedy wanted an off-ramp. He didn't want to have a nuclear war with the Soviet Union. He received 2 letters from Nikita Khrushchev. One was
운동하면은 등이 많이 아플 줄 알고 일부러 등에 신경 스트레치 많이
and the other
썼는데
one, the language was totally different.
허리가 아프네요.
It suggested that Khrushchev wanted a way out. And so Kennedy had to make a choice. Which one of these letters should I take seriously?
Yeah.
And he chose the one that sounded, he chose to believe that the compromising language reflected Khrushchev's actual intention. So we are speculating about exactly what kind of message the Iranians are sending, or whether it's even a message or it could be military incompetence.
Does the president have the team around him to help him make that judgment? And do you have confidence in the president's ability to assess?
Well, I have no confidence in the president's ability. But the president's got himself in a real fix here. You know, he promised to end our endless wars. The assassination of Soleimani was a step in the other direction. He wants to win re-election. We're now in the election year. There is something of a tradition that when the president goes to war, the country rallies around the president and there's a political advantage that he gains. I don't think that's going to play in this case. The Democrats are not going to rally around the president. And I suspect that many of those who voted for Trump because they believed he was going to get us out of these wars would be, less than supportive if we now find ourselves drifting into a conflict with Iran. So I think the president has very strong incentives to figure out how to get out of here. Whether or not he's, you know, recognizes the opportunity, and whether or not he's, you know, he's so full of bluster all the time, whether or not he's willing to take that opportunity. You know, when we hear him talking a little bit, we'll probably have a better understanding of what he's going to do.
Andrew, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here again, and your book. Look forward to reading it. Nick Robertson, Preston Riyadh, thank you both.
Well, we're going to hear what the president has to say shortly. All lawmakers as well are set to be briefed today on the conflict in Iran. A senator on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee is going to join us next. You'll want to hear him.
So many questions about what is the federal government doing? Do you get the anger that is out here? They closed off this entire street. Do you really think you're a champion of the gay community? Sir, with all due respect, that's the argument of a 5-year-old. I didn't start. All the places I've been and all the things I've seen, all the people I've talked to, I carry with me. They're part of what I do every night, right here, holding the powerful accountable, keeping them honest.
AC 360, Tuesday through Saturday only on CNN.